Hey folks, Micah McGee here. Today we are going to cure some hams. These hams are from a wild hog. You may have seen me butcher the hog 2 videos ago. We are going to cure them with salt and we're going to smoke them with smoke. So I got several questions after I butchered Wilbur and cured him with 100 pounds of salt, cured the bacon. It was 100 pounds of salt and it was about 100 pounds of bacon, but that fat absorbed the salt very slowly, and that salt really never saw much action, to be honest with you. My answer in the comments section has always been I'll try to reuse that salt at least one time before I use it for something else that's not for eating. Like I can salt deer hides with it. I can maybe put a salt lick out for deer. I don't know if they'll go for that or not, but I guarantee you it don't have to be thrown away. So the first thing we're going to do here with our hams, we're going to trim them up a little bit. Now you don't want a bunch of floppy stuff. It's just going to absorb salt at a higher rate and it's going to be almost unedible. So we're going to trim off that junk right now. What do you do with your little old scraps that aren't really good for eating? You throw it to the chickens. Chickens will eat the fat, the meat, scraps, they love it. The biggest reason that these things could go bad is if we don't get enough salt in the meat. If you get enough salt in the meat, you can hang it out in 100-degree weather and it won't go bad. And you might not like the taste of it that great, but it won't go bad. So in order to get it along that bone properly, we're going to take a knife and we're going to cut right up to that bone. Now, I feel the bone all the way down. See how long that blade is? I sunk it all the way to the hilt. So I got plumb down here. And you can run your finger in. You can feel that bone all the way down. Also, we're going to come in from this side. The joint is right here. That joint is a bad place that can go bad on you. So I'm just going to take my knife in and kind of open that up just a little bit and cut kind of into that joint. And that'll allow the salt to penetrate into that joint. Now, this salt, as you can see, is still very good. Nothing wrong with this salt. It's got some black pepper mixed in it because we peppered our bacons really good last time. And so people ask me all the time, will the salt go bad? No, salt don't go bad. It's the best preservative in the world. The thing about salt is after it works and pulls and draws moisture out of meat, it's going to get soaked up and then it's going to crust and it's going to get hard as a rock. And then it's hard to use. And so at that point, we just kind of bust it up and use it to salt hides or salt lick, whatever. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to pack the salt down into along this bone, and we're going to pack it as full as we can get it. All right, you want that salt to get all the way in. Hey, buddy. You want that salt to get all the way in there, so take you a handle. Your fingers ain't long enough. Take you a handle and plunge that salt in there and pack it all the way in there. You want that salt to go all the way down in there. Now what I'm doing, I am packing that cavity as full as I can get it. Now I've got a subscriber that asked me, without refrigeration, how can we store these things? How are you going to prepare them to store them to where you can just hang them out in the smokehouse and leave them like the old timers? I wasn't around back then. I don't know that answer, so we're going to find out together. I'm going to try my hand at salting these down and leaving them in the smokehouse. And so this video isn't going to show you the end result of that. You're going to have to stick around until probably the middle of next summer before we'll know whether or not these went bad or not. So stick with me if you don't care. Subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for all notifications so you don't miss this, because this is the future. Is it good? How salty is it? Can a dog eat it? I mean, simple questions like that. It don't matter if it don't go bad if you can't eat it because it's so salty. So we're just going to try all these different methods. Now, we're going to salt the hock now. We're going to go in right here, get salt in this hock, all the way in around that joint. The old timers have been telling me you got to pack it. Pack that hock. Okay, the outside I'm not going to worry about too much because I am going to bury it in this salt box over here, which is just happens to be a Coleman cooler. I'm going to bury it and this other one 5 or 6 days, let's say. I believe they're small enough hams. I'm going to guess them to weigh about 5 pounds. They say 24 hours per pound. I'm going to leave them in there for about 5 days, and then we're going to get them out and smoke them. All right, we have had this ham salting for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and half of Wednesday. 4.5 days. I think it's going to be pretty salty, but the object is to hang it through the summer and see how it goes. So let's get it out and see how it is. Ooh, feels very salty. All right, we got some salty looking hams here. I'm just gonna wash some of the excess off here. Then we're gonna take it right on out to the smokehouse and get it started. I'm pretty excited about this actually. Never done a wild ham before. If you look right here, you can see how the meat turns a different color and it gets a very denseness when it's cured that it doesn't have when it's fresh meat. So that tells me it's cured pretty much through and through, and it's time to start the smoking process. All right, I am going to cut a hole in right here so I can get my stainless steel hook in. And we are going to hang this thing hock down. I don't know if it matters that much, but I kind of think that there's going to be some draining out of that where I put the hock. I cut in and forced a lot of salt up along the bone, and there may be some draining needing to go on there. So I am going to hang it hock down just in case. If you're wondering where I got my stainless steel hooks, that ain't nothing but a handle off of an old milk pail. I'm just going to take it right here, hang it right here like this. That is directly in front of my smoke that's going to be coming out. So, in my opinion, I think we're ready to get the smoke rolling. All right, we're using cherry wood, getting this thing going. Smoked this ham for 5 days and let it rest for a while. It's been very cold. Today it's warming up in the 40s, but I want to get one of these hams. I decided not to try to keep both these hams for an extremely long time because I don't want to lose them. And I want to try in this video one of them so that you don't have to go without knowing how these taste. And I'm going to let the other one hang in here for a long time, and we'll see how that works. Just an experiment for you and for me. All right, I'm fixing to slice into this thing to the bone. I'm gonna slice me a thin slice. Look at that, it's beautiful. All right, I'm gonna throw this in a skillet, fry it up. You might say, hey McGee, you can eat that raw. Well, maybe, but it's a wild hog. I don't really feel comfortable getting trichinosis. So let's fry it up first, then we will see how it tastes, see if it's too salty. I got a cute little skillet like you wouldn't believe. I'm gonna just flop him in there, put him on the stove. We got wood burning in here, and we'll see how it tastes. I'm gonna just go ahead, while that's frying, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this whole thing apart and see if we got it cured to the middle. You can tell by looking at the meat whether you got it cured to the middle. That was my concern about this whole deal. The one that we got hanging up outside, I'll leave it out there until the temperature gets up to around 70, 75, and then it's got to be either taken and put in somewhere cooler, or we have to eat it. So we'll decide then. But in YouTube time, a month is like a year, so it'll feel like a year to y'all when I finally get around to eating it. But This here is going to be eaten today, and I'm going to show you. Now let's take a look at our meat here. Ooh, there's a chunk of salt still in there. Now, I can tell by looking that this meat did get cured all the way to the middle. This is not from a hot smoker. We did not get this meat temperature up. This is still raw. That's your smoke ring. So anyway, we're gonna try this out, give you some idea what to expect if you follow this method. All right, I'm gonna try this out. You can tell this skillet's hot, listen. It's hot, this is hot, but I'm satisfied it's safe. It's pretty salty, but it's not terrible. This was cut opposite side of the bone from the salt, so it's about perfect. The part that's by the bone on the other side is gonna be way too salty, so we're gonna soak this. We're gonna run water over it and soak it for about 3 hours. All right, we took the ham out of the water in about 3 hours. What I'm gonna do is wrap them up. There's the hot part right there. I'm gonna wrap them up and bake them. All right. Now what I'm gonna do is put these in the oven for about 2 or 3 hours and just bake them. I've got a wood cook stove and we bake everything in the oven like that. And when it comes out, we'll see what it tastes like. All right, we cooked this ham for about 3 hours. And we're gonna dig in here and see what it's like. I had 2 of them in here when I put them in originally. I don't know what happened to the other one. No, I'm just kidding. We ate it last night, but it was too dim to be videoing, so we saved this one for today. I'm gonna pull it out and stick it on this plate right here. All right, as you see, I have no trouble getting volunteers to taste test this because they already know what they're in for, a treat. This ham turned out to be something else. Hey, Frank! Come on over here and try you some of this, son. Come on, Frank. There he is. Backing up. You ain't got your beeper on, you ain't allowed to back up. Man alive. Folks, I'm telling you what. Wild pork ham. Wild pork ham. I'm gonna just cut it up in some fairly moderate pieces for everybody to try out. All right, grab you a piece, guys. Here, Frank, get you a piece. You're on national TV now. All right. Is it as good as it was last night? It's tender, I'll tell you that. You would think it's dense old hind quarter. That salt permeates it and tenderizes it. What do you think? Is it all right? Now, Frank, people want to know the truth. You think that tastes like wild meat? No. That tastes just like a ham from the store?
Yep. Good.
I'm telling you, folks, if you get a little wild pig like this again, follow these steps of salting, preserve it, smoke it if you can, because that really helps the flavor of this thing. If you can't smoke it, you can actually cook it in a smoker. It'd probably be the same. But as good as this is, I don't know how long we're going to let that other one hang in the smokehouse, to be honest with you. I don't want to take a chance of it going bad, being that it tastes like this good. So I don't know that we're going to have it come summer. But if I do go ahead and eat it, I will be killing more pigs. We want to do one that's a long-term keeper, kind of like, what's it called, prosciutto. Kind of like prosciutto or something like that. Kind of do something that stores over long term. But that's all I can tell you for right now. Is this is some amazing ham. Tastes great. If you get a chance to do it, do it. But that's all we've got for you today. We sure appreciate you hanging in there with us. And on the behalf of Frank and the 3 Musketeers here, we appreciate you so much. We'll see you on the next video.